Today we're back at Deeside Leisure Centre to see a battle for the bottom of the Moral League Conference. It's Nottingham Lions, Deeside Dragons.
It seems to be a regular thing, the bottom of the conference battles that we seem to attend, but that's the way it goes.
Of course, tonight Nottingham come into this game with 4 points, Dragons only on 2. It's been a tough season for both teams.
Yeah, it's well, you got to remember, Nottingham are a team that opted to come up into the Moral League this year when there was that slight change, and they found it going a little bit tough, not unlike their rivals tonight, the Dragons, who have been in the Moral League for this is their second season now, and it's been tough going again. Last year they struggled a little bit and managed to survive. Are they going to do the same again this year though?
Tough weekend though for Nottingham so far. They had a game against the Solway Sharks last night, lost 15-0, and they've travelled all the way to Deeside tonight, so bus legs maybe?
Quite possibly, you know, I expect them to. Solway's a fair height for any team, so I mean, it should be in short bench maybe. I think it'll be a different Nottingham team today. They'll fancy their chances of picking up some points, as will the Dragons, because both teams have only got 2 points between them. Of course, most notable addition to Nottingham tonight, who was absent last night, is Ads Andrews. He'll return off his one-game ban.
Yeah, of course, Ads Andrews back, and some noticeable additions to the Nottingham squad that we should be looking out for. Notably, there's somebody from Peterborough Phantoms, I believe.
Yeah, Mark Levers. Yeah, quite possible that you know he's been quite fruitful. 15 games, 4 goals so far, 5 assists. So he's not a bad player on paper. But the player to watch out for, I'd say, Joe Humphreys. He's a Nottingham lad, born and bred, come through the ranks. And although he's only played 9 games, he's only scored 2, 5 assists. He likes to drop gloves a lot. He's a bit of a feisty lad. And if he's got a fire in his belly tonight, he might take the Lions and roar them on to success.
If we've got Humphreys looking to go, who are we looking on the Dragons bench to stand up to him?
Well, you've got a multitude of players there, because as Jeff Wigglesworth said in the past, there's a plethora of players prepared to drop the gloves for the honour of the Dragons, and I'm sure Owen Bennett would only be too willing for that one.
It's going to be a tough battle here tonight. Of course, last week on Drop the Puck we saw Dragons 2 take their first Laidlaw win of the season. Will the Dragons 1 here in Morley make it their second game of the season? We're going to find out. It's time, Gary,
to drop the puck.
As the game begins, Gary, we took a look at the game sheet before. We could see that Joe Humphreys is not on the ice tonight.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise really, because he's another Nottingham lad come through the ranks. He's quite a useful player, so the Dragons will be breathing a sigh of relief there.
So Nottingham skating without Humphreys tonight. Of course, Nottingham playing in black and yellow, Dragons in the white and the red. As this game starts deep in the Dragon zone. Parsons turns it round behind the net. Sends it into the corner. And it's dumped out. Andrews tried to clear. Gets it to the blue line. And it's dumped into the Dragon zone. Ryan Jones back for that. Takes the puck away from Stanley. Wainwright fights for the puck there with Stanley. As Fisher holds the puck in along the boards. Dragons manage to clear. Owen Bennett skates it down the middle and is just knocked away from that by Gretton.
Dave, I've got to be honest, I think the Dragons must fancy their chances tonight, knowing that Nottingham being short-benched, knowing them that they're in their own house.
And of course, Nottingham, having travelled a good distance yesterday, plays into the Dragons' hands. Hughes behind the net, plays it up front, but it ends up on the stick of Ryan Jones. Jones sends it into the corner. Dragons recover that puck there. Play it into the Lions zone. Mark Wainwright tried to get a chance out front. Chris Jones, position right in front of the net there. Just stuns the netminder. And the Dragons are on the board early.
Well, it looked like the puck was being fed in there. You thought one of the Dragons was just going to tap it in, but no, let through. Chris Jones just waiting to slap that into the back of the net. Dragons take a 1-0 lead.
Lions win that face-off. Gretton sends it off the boards in front of his bench, but it's held in by the Dragons. Bennett stops it. Chappell recovers the puck. Chappell looking for Furnival out front. Bennett stationed there. He's marked, but Kennedy's open.
Ooh.
Kennedy takes a shot. Battered away by the netminder's glove. And again, there's two Dragons at the point unmarked there. Lions send it off the boards. And we've got our first penalty of the game. And that's going to be a slashing call.
It's Cy Furnival by the look of it, is it?
Cy Furnival going to the box, and the Dragons are going to be on the penalty kill. So Richardson is in the box for the Dragons, a hooking call. And that's a 5-on-3 for the Lions. Very, very dangerous game the Dragons are playing, having so many players sit this out.
We say time in and time out. Penalties cost you, and the Dragons certainly can't afford to have players in the box.
We've got 45 seconds remaining on that Furnival penalty. As Lions get that in, a shot, and it's in! It's a goal for Joseph Aston! The Lions open up the scoring in the 8th minute of this game and even things up.
Well, it's been coming. We said it already. Only 3 players to defend that. And it's 5-on-3. He definitely favoured the Lions to score there, and it's 1-1.
So that's a goal for the Nottingham Lions. That's going to clear 1 penalty. So we have 1:20 remaining in Richardson's penalty. So Lions still 5-on-4. They're 1 for 1 so far on the power play. Can they make it 2? Send it into the corner, back out to Andrews. Well, the Dragons get hold of that puck. Wainwright skates it in, dekes it past. He's going to keep hold of that puck and buy some time for his team. And that's a good move there. Passes it back to Ryan Jones.
Oh. No one
Sent
there
that
for
in
it.
front of the net in the hope that Parry could reach that. Lions have one last rush. 30 seconds remaining in that power play. Hughes gets that to Fisher. To Andrews, and a shot from Joe Gretton just beats out the netminder. And the Lions with 2 power play goals within the space of a minute.
Well, he was just sitting there waiting for that by the blue line. And what a lovely long shot straight through the defence. And the Lions take a 2-1 lead.
Dragons win the face-off there on the power play. Wainwright sends it into the corner. Parsons gives it back to Wainwright, skates it in, takes a shot, and that's going to be held by Hovell.
Well, Dave, this is an opportunity for the Dragons here on this power play. They've got to get something before they go into the break, or make it even.
Of course, it would be perfect for the Dragons at this point to go into the period break knowing that there was no points in this so far. Lions with two big power plays that have put them ahead. And the Dragons need to equalise. As they send it behind the net, Wainwright gets it. Andrews drops to one knee, just takes that shot away from Wainwright. Gives it to Parry.
Oh!
Puck bounces out front. Puck's loose.
It's in!
It's in for the Dragons. Loose puck out front. Hovell just lost it. And the Dragons, it's not a pretty goal, but it evens things up.
Well, they all count, Dave, and I'm sure our replay will show who got that, but it looks like Chris Jones may have just managed to tap that in, but we'll see more clearer on the replay.
And Gary, it's been a interesting first period for both teams, both with a lot of positives coming out of this one, I feel.
Yeah, it's both teams keen to get on the scoreboard tonight. Both teams needing them points in the division, but going into the locker room currently on as even.
Second period underway. Welcome back to Drop the Puck. If you've just joined us, an eventful first period saw both teams hit the scoreboard twice. We're all tied 2 apiece. Of course, the Lions come into this on the power play. Owen Bennett still serving a holding call in the box for the next 45 seconds or so. Gary, both teams are going to be happy with the performance in the first period.
I'd say the Lions most certainly, because being short benched and having that long trip last night, as we've already said. Whoop.
Shot the other way there for the Lions.
Oh!
Puck loose out front. Another attempt from Levers. Levers and Aston, a formidable line there.
Yeah, as we were saying, that long trip to Solway last night will have done them no favours, but they seem to have come here tonight, and they've got themselves a bit of a mission, but they're doing quite well.
Lions puck is loose and down into the Lions zone. There's a delayed call coming to the Dragons, which is why the Lions have pulled their netminder. And that penalty is going to be assessed now. That's an interference call, and that's going to be against Ryan Jones. Lions win the face-off. Just over a minute and a half left in the power play opportunity for them, as the coaches on the bench shouting their instructions. Stanley skates that in, shot!
Oh!
Nice attempt there. Fisher was loose out front. Netminder brought him down. And the Lions line themselves up for another attempt at this. Deeks, but it's poked away and it's on the stick of Brian Worrell. Deeks loses the puck to the Lions though. Aston, shot on net. As Kennedy tries to keep that out. Puck was loose out front and Hughes had a shot. The Lions have it behind the net. There's still 45 seconds left in their power play. Tried to send that out to Gretton, but he couldn't reach that, and it's sent down into the Lions' end. Just over 30 seconds in their power play. Both of the Lions' goals so far tonight are power play goals. As Levers slams on the brakes, takes a shot. Couldn't get that in. Puck knocked out, and the Lions have to get back on side. 12 seconds. Collision on the boards in front of the line there. And Broden was not happy.
I think he was complaining that somebody had grabbed the stick.
Looked like he'd been held up. Dragons are back to full strength.
Oh.
And they're offside. Lions have the puck in their zone. They play it out. Dumped in to the Dragons' end. Ryan Jones has it. Plays it off the boards to Parry. Parry loses it, and it's knocked down into the Lions' zone. Hovell tames that behind his net. Looks to get it out. It's stopped by Jones and turned back around. Dragons again dump that in. Sent off the boards. Chris Jones looking to stop it. Couldn't. And now Stanley turns it round. Held up by Jones in the corner. But he's loose. Shot. Knocked back, down the boards and into the line zone. Tamed at the neutral zone. Wainwright looking for it. Caught between Wainwright and Hughes, and now Wainwright has it loose. Backhander into the net, and the Dragons go up for the first time this game.
Well, it looked like everybody was waiting for Wainwright to lay that pass off, but he skated it calmly across the face of goal, backhands it in, and the Dragons edge out in front, 3-2.
Straight from that face-off, and the Lions bringing the pressure late in this second period. Just over 5 minutes left in the second. Wigglesworth gets it to Davis, skates it down the wing. Tried to get it out front but couldn't. And Poole tries to clear, can't. Kennedy has it. Kennedy Deeks gets it to Wigglesworth, lines that up, takes the shot, puck's loose out front, shot from Kennedy goes in, but it doesn't beat the whistle.
Oh, Kennedy must be kicking himself there.
The Lions take the puck from the face-off. At neutral ice, tried to skate that down the left wing. Aston pinned there by Worrell. Out to centre ice, Parry. Dump and chase by the Dragons. Retton to Aston. Held up, had to slam the brakes on there in front of the Dragons bench. Puck out to the neutral zone. Dumped in by the Lions, and Ryan Jones clears along the board. Back out, but Parry's held up there. And that looked like an interference call, certainly seemed that way to the Dragons bench as well, but the referee didn't call it. Wainwright behind his own net. Puck did a loop of the ice. Puck went high, nearly hit Ben Lee in the face. Four minutes left in the second period. Levers gets it across, and it's a goal for the Lions!
Well, give them the opportunity, and they will take it. The Lions, 2-on-1 there. Pass comes across, and it just slots it calmly into the net past Bird, and they've evened things up, 3-all.
Ruskin Hughes with a great attempt. So 2-minute penalty for roughing, 2 minutes for a hold. That's a 2+2 for the Dragons, and a roughing call assessed to Nottingham. We're just trying to make sense of these penalties as we commentate here. It's going to put the Dragons down a man. So Lions have got a 5-on-4 for the next minute and 20 now. And the referee having words with both teams during the break in play, trying to settle this down. We've got 3 minutes left in the second period. Tensions have started to rise.
Yeah, it's getting a bit feisty as both teams try to get a grip of this game.
And referee Brooks making sure this game's clean, and he says that just as a man goes down, and that was quite a hit.
I don't know if that was accidental there.
I think that I didn't see anything that would say that that was an intentional hit. I think that was
just skated to a stop.
But that was...
And another Dragon going to the box.
That was such a huge hit there on the Lions. Lions win the face-off. Turn it round. Aston sends it into the corner. Gives it to Andrews. And to Gretton. Shot, rebound in front. Hughes has it, under pressure from the Dragons. 3 of them jump on him there. Worrell got it to the point, couldn't clear it though. Gretton couldn't reach that. Sent into the corner. Still 3 minutes of power play for the Lions as we enter the closing seconds of what would have been the second period. Worrell manages to clear. It's 1-on-1 the other way. Worrell puts on the brakes. Shot out front. Hits the post. It goes in. The Dragons, with seconds left on the clock for the second period, manage to take the lead.
Well, Jeff Wigglesworth pounced on now. Manages to slot it home. Deflection off the post. But it's enough to give the Dragons that 1-goal advantage coming into the end of this second period.
So a short-handed goal for Jeff Wigglesworth, who has been the very foundations of this Dragons team so far this year. As the clock expires on the second period. So the puck drops on the third period, seconds after we finish the second. And happy to report we've just seen Paul Stanley. He's still dressed. He's gone back to the locker room. Looks like equipment issues, but he's looking healthy, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's good news that. We don't like seeing a player going down.
2 minutes remain in the major penalty that was assessed to Alex Parry. As the Lions look to get the puck out front, gets it to Hovell. And so Mark Levers takes the shot through traffic, and it's picked up by Chris Jones.
Yeah, he was looking for an opportunity of a deflection there.
Hovell takes a look, sees James Parsons heading towards him and chooses to cover that puck. Lions from the face-off look to set up a play. They've still got 1:20 in this power play. We have a short-handed goal for the Dragons, which has given them the go-ahead here. And this season on Drop the Puck, Gary, I've never seen so many short-handed goals in the space of a few weeks.
Yeah, it's teams working on their special team units, looking at penalty kills, power plays, taking advantage when it counts.
Davis clears that. Race for the puck against Aston. Just beats it, gets the puck out front. Couldn't convert. And the Lions turn it round. Still 45 seconds remain in that. Major to Parry. Sent off the boards to Austin. Austin and Hughes struggle for the puck. 2 minutes gone in the third. Shot from Levers. Couldn't get through traffic. 20 seconds remain in the power play, and the Dragons looking to kill that off now, as the puck is back into the Lions' end. Might get the opportunity for one last play, but he loses the puck to Broden. Broden looking for Furnival out front. Gives it to Kennedy. Kennedy shots. It's a goal! Ross Kennedy from Michael Broden. And the Dragons get on the scoreboard twice during that 5-minute major.
Well, Broden just collects the puck, steals it away there, just by the blue line, casually skates it in on that left-hand side, to the right of the keeper as he's looking at it, and slowly passes it across to Kennedy, who calmly slots it in the net. Dragons take a 2-goal advantage.
So, the Dragons won that face-off. Lions have it in the Dragon zone. Shot!
Oh, it's in!
It's a goal for Jake Fisher. Brings the Lions back within one.
Casually deflects that shot as it comes across. Baird stretching out, just couldn't get it. And Nottingham peg one back. Dragons lead 5-4.
And the Lions mean business here early in the third. Dragons again from the face-off.
Oh.
Puck loose out front. A 2-minute minor was assessed for a cross-check to Joe Gretton. That was assessed to Chris Jones, who's still fuming on the bench. Parsons skates that in. Still a minute 20 in their power play. They've had some short-handed success this game. 2 short-handed goals assessed to the Dragons. But now they're 5-on-4. Ryan Jones gets it to Wainwright.
Oh,
Shot from Parsons, gets it in, it's a goal! Dragons on the power play make it 6-4.
Well, that puck came in from the side. Wigglesworth was poached in front of the goal there, in front of the keeper, but did enough to obscure the view as Parsons fires it into the back of the net, and the Dragons extend their lead again to 6-4.
Richardson to Hovell. Dragons with the lead at the halfway point of the third period. Chris Jones is back on the ice. And you've got to wonder how these lineups will match now. Will they let Gretton onto the ice at the same time as Chris Jones?
Oh, well deflected.
Chappell just dumps that down the ice to clear. Hovell sends it off the boards. Deep into the Dragon zone, and Baird stops the puck. Just under 10 minutes remain in this game. As Kennedy, 2-on-1 shot. I think Jones wanted a punt at that there. Jones sends it to the point. Austin with a big hit into the glove of Tom Hovell. Lions give it up at centre ice. Wainwright chooses to dump that in. Recovered by Andrews, who sends it out back onto the stick of Ryan Jones, who passes it again to Wainwright, who chips it in. Dragons forcing the Lions back into their own zone. Worrell turns that puck around, tried to keep control as he tripped.
It's another broken stick on the ice.
Shot that goes high, blocked by Wainwright. That kept the puck out. Nice save there from the defense.
It's enough to knock the goal off its moorings, is it?
Looks like it. Dragons from the face-off. We are into the final 6 minutes of this game now, as the Lions' opportunity to tie this game up is slipping away, because they had a tough game last night against Solway, lost 15-0, and then travel here to Deeside. Who have they got next, Gary?
Ooh, that's a tough one without looking at my notes.
I believe it's Solihull that the Nottingham Lions have next.
Oh!
Is that in? That's a goal for the Nottingham Lions.
Well, they've been pegging away. And they've got one back.
Nice goal there, ties things up.
It'll be interesting in a couple of weeks' time, Dave. These two replay each other again. As Wigglesworth takes that into the corner.
Dragons take control of the puck as we enter the final 5 minutes. Puck loose, and it goes in! The netminder lost control of that.
Oh my goodness.
It was loose behind his feet, and as he scrambled for it, knocked it in. Such an unfortunate move.
As I was saying just there before they scored, these two play each other again in Nottingham and next week, so it'll be interesting to see how that game fares, because this has been quite a close game regardless of the score.
Puts them in a tight position because they are trying to cling on to the remains of this game, and one goal here from the Lions and it becomes a different ball game. They're within one, they can pull a netminder and try and get that extra goal. And the Dragons are in a
close by Andrews
position, but we are down to the last 5 seconds, all to play for. But the Dragons are going home with the victory tonight. And they'll be going to Nottingham next week to face the Lions, both tied in the conference.
Dragons will have the advantage after tonight. They should just sit above Nottingham in the standings, but all to play for, as you said, Dave, next week.
A fast-paced, feisty affair, and the Lions are going home tonight, the losers of this encounter. Stay tuned though, we've got all interviews and analysis with both teams yet to come.
And with Paul Davis of the Dragons. Paul, what does it feel like being back at the Den?
It's great to be back on the ice at the Den here. I didn't really want to go anywhere else. I'm glad to be back.
Now, a great result out there for you guys tonight. Really good performance. How did you feel it went?
It was a great performance. Everybody put in a really hard shift. It was 110% the whole game. I think we owe a lot to Graham Birdie. Had a fantastic game tonight. But on the whole, we've all pulled together, apart from a few penalties, and we got the win, which was long awaited.
Now, pivotal moments obviously in the season for the Dragons. We're heading into that Christmas break, and it's well known, obviously, if you get a good foothold now, you try and carry it through. What do the Dragons need to do to try and get back in this?
I think we need to concentrate on next week first. I think we've got to get into training, train as hard as we can, working as a team, and then go into next week's game in Nottingham again and come away with those 2 points. I think that's the next thing we can really concentrate on.
Well, thanks, Paul, and we'll catch you later in the season.
Thanks very much.
And with Ads Andrews of the Nottingham Lions. Ads, first and foremost, how's number 10 Paul Stanley after that collision?
Stano's good. He's a tough old cookie. He took a bit of a knock. He's got a cut to the chin, but bless his heart, tried getting back onto the coat, but he was no go. His knee's swollen up. So yeah, he's all right. Bit of ice and some headache tablets. He'll be all right.
Well, difficult result here at the Den tonight. Wasn't possibly what you were expecting. How do you think the game went for you guys?
First period, I wouldn't say was particularly great. We kind of come out, we did what we needed to do to tie the period and kind of go through the motions a bit, but second period we kind of picked up, got the momentum going, thought right, okay, some quick goals, tied it up, and then I don't know, we just kind of fell apart in areas. We shut down, we weren't picking up key guys, and I just think lack of concentration in certain areas certainly did kill us.
So what was the actual game plan heading to the Den?
Short numbers last night in Solway. We were missing two of our top lines, so it's hard to kind of go there. Come in here, I came back off suspension. We picked up another couple of bodies that are back, but I'll be honest with you, it was kind of weather the storm, work hard, and just go for 60 minutes. But unfortunately, we kind of only went for about 45, and it made the difference.
Now, Nottingham opted to come up from the Laidler to the Morley a couple of seasons ago. How are you guys finding it now up here in the Morley, and obviously what experience has been able to be taken from that?
you look at the game results, yes, we're at the bottom of the table, or second bottom with D-side, but you look at our results against some of the topper teams, we can compete, all the teams in this league can compete regardless of the position they're in the actual league. So it's just a case of when you're playing against teams with budgets and stuff, you've got guys that are working 24/7, coming to work, coming to training, and it's always hard, but you look at the results and we can compete. It's just consistency that kills us. We're missing guys again tonight, nearly 2 lines again, so it's hard to do anything when you're doing that. So fair play to Matt and Glossy, the coaches. They can only kind of get together and put lines together that are here, and when you've got guys missing, it's just a juggling act week in, week out, and it's something that's just been addressed now in the change room, that consistency, training, hard work, it needs to be put in.
Well, cheers for that, Ads, and hopefully we'll catch you in the future.
Brilliant, good to see you guys. Thanks very much.
And with Brian Worrell of the Dragons. Brian, first and foremost, congratulations on the MVP.
Cheers. I mean, to be honest, every single one of the lads put a shift in tonight. I mean, we didn't think it was going to be an easy game, but we knew it was between us and them for bottom of the table. When they went ahead, no one's heads went down. Everybody put in a shift. Everybody stepped it up a level, not just me. So there could have been 3 or 4 people that could have got it tonight.
Now, you're saying, obviously, but it worked really well out there tonight. A lot of lads putting the effort in. Those lines seem to be gelling a lot better now.
Yeah, well, it's hard. Well, recently we've been playing in the same lines every week. It is hard when people have got jobs. Not everybody can train, but we've kind of moved the lines around a bit so that the people that are here week in, week out could train together week in, week out, which is what we needed. And you can tell now. I mean, all right, results haven't gone our way, but if you look at the way we're playing in the games, you can see that we're clicking a lot better than we were before.
Now, some great momentum there to take away on the next game. Just happens to be Nottingham in their barn. What are you going to need to do there to come away with the points?
To be honest, we just need to stay realistic. We know where we're at. We know our talent level. We know where our work rate's at. We just got to carry on. With the momentum started with us 2 or 3 weeks ago. Although the results weren't there, you could see the performance is getting better and better. We're realistic. We know where we're at. We know we just got to build on that bit by bit. It's almost like a development season starting from mid-season. We know Nottingham next week. We've seen them today. We know what they've got to offer. I think they've probably got a few more bodies to put on, but so have we. Go out there, work hard, keep playing the way we're playing. Don't get too complacent, and we'll be fine.
Well, Brian, thanks for that, mate. We'll hope to catch you soon.
All right, cheers, mate. Thanks.
Well, it was a feisty game here tonight. I think we all knew it would be. But maybe not in the way that it turned out. A high-scoring game, lots of offence from both teams, good effort in net.
It certainly was. Graham Bird had a really good performance between the pipes, but you can't take it away from Nottingham. They came here short-benched after a long trip to Solway, and they gave the Dragons a good run right up to the end.
Yeah, Ads Andrew saying to you earlier about the changes coming up to Morley. They put up a good fight, I thought, tonight.
Yes, certainly. Obviously, as Ad's pointed out, they were still missing a lot of numbers there tonight, almost 2 lines. That was very pivotal in the result there. But they're not out the running. They know where they are, and that's one of the biggest things you can do as a team, is have an understanding of where you are and know where you're coming from and what's ahead of you. And especially in the position they are in now, down the bottom of that Morley, they've got nothing to lose and everything to fight for, so they're a very dangerous animal to be cornered.
Could have gone either way tonight. It was power plays and penalties that I think decided the game, really. Some short-handed goals for the Dragons, which sealed the deal. We say it every week, Gary, about how important it is to stay out that box.
Discipline. It's down to discipline at the end of the day, Dave, and we've said it countless times on Drop the Puck. It's no good having your good players in a penalty box when you need them on the ice. And Nottingham played a very disciplined game tonight. They kept most of their players out of that box. D-side, on the other hand, still had a few penalty issues, but they've made it pay in the end. They capitalised when they needed to on the power plays. They did the penalty kills right. I wouldn't say it was good game clock management, but they got the win, which was all important, and it takes them into that game next week.
Well, let's look ahead at next week then, Ben, because we know that they're going into Nottingham are going into a game against Solihull next week. What do they need to do?
Nottingham, first and foremost, as Ad's quite rightly pointed out in the interview, need to get the team together and reiterate how important it is to be a team, to be there for each other, which means turning up at training, going through the playbooks together, getting their heads in the game, getting those lines working together so communication on the ice feels natural. That's your first major step, and then it will be put everything you practiced into action. make sure you're taking it to Solihull, because Solihull, as we know, have got a formidable forward offensive unit. They've got Nicholas Otterson, they've got Thomas Saw. The first thing you should do is, your game plan is, right, we need to take them guys out the game.
Then, of course, they're going to be going into that game against Dragons, the return leg of the encounter we've seen tonight. I think it's going to be a very different game that in Nottingham itself.
I think so. I mean, as much as we didn't see Humphreys ice tonight, he's certainly going to be playing at home. It could be a different Nottingham team altogether. You're in their den or in their barn, so to speak. It's going to be another place to play. The Lions are going to want payback for tonight, and I think it's going to be another close one.
Of course, I think the differences in buildings plays into this as well. Nottingham's obviously a much bigger building, bigger ice surface, home field advantage, that kind of thing plays into it. So as Gary says, completely different game that we're going to be expecting there, but both of these teams now going into that encounter, at least until that Solway game, both on 4 points apiece, and they're struggling to make sure that they don't finish on the bottom.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, both teams looking ahead. We've said it time and time again now here on Drop the Puck. Going into that winter break, it's always who's holding the, who's got the foothold at the top of the table and who's fighting out the bottom. And it's usually the teams that are fighting out the bottom that come out with the shock performances, and the top boys start getting complacent and lose their footholds. It's still quite a long season yet. We're only halfway through this season so far, give or take. It's going to be interesting to see what the bottom boys can do. What can the Dragons pull out the bag? What have Nottingham got up the sleeve? Billingham as well. They're still circling down there at the bottom. Billingham have got to have to survive. Weather all those storms coming as well. At the same time, Solway going to get complacent. Telford going to take a knock or two. It's like you say, the story is yet unwritten, and it'll be an interesting. I don't think it's going to be any fairy tale story. This one, it's going to be scrappy and interesting and surprising.
I actually think, Ben, you've hit the nail on the head. I don't think it's so much that people are looking at who's going to finish top in this conference. It's more a case of the fight at the bottom has got really, really interesting, because it involves teams like we said at the start of the season. Billingham were one of those teams that you would have tipped to be up there in the top four, but with the introduction of these ex-EPL teams, so to speak, it's made it a whole new ball game. Teams are still struggling to find their feet. And who knows, it's that bottom bit. Who doesn't want to finish bottom?
Well, it's survival of the fittest, isn't it? And it's going to be which of these teams has the healthiest roster, the longest, that's going to be able to claw their way out of that. And as we head towards that Christmas break, there's still time to get yourself a little stocking filler. Which brings us nicely to the Ice Hockey Review. We say it every week, but get on icehockeyreview.co.uk and pick up your copy of this great publication. Loads of information on all the teams that have played here tonight. You can find out all the stats, loads of great features, so make sure you buy yourself a copy for Christmas. That's all we've got time for this week, but we'll see you at the next game.